You may already own 2020's best OnePlus device and are casting an envious glance over at the latest releases. Well, is there enough of a difference to warrant switching from the OnePlus 8 Pro to the OnePlus 9 Pro? Thanks for watching 95 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe, and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. When it released, the OnePlus 8 Pro was easily the best OnePlus phone to date with very little compromises. It's still an excellent smartphone, but the OnePlus 9 Pro ups the ante even further with tweaks and tuning that might be worth paying attention to. With that in mind, we're here to figure out if an upgrade is something that should even cross your mind. So if you put the specifications of the OnePlus 8 Pro and the OnePlus 9 Pro side by side, you could be forgiven for trying to work out what has really changed. At least the mainline 8 to OnePlus 9 has some notable hardware tweaks and changes. The only real major difference this time around is the usage of faster storage and an LTPO AMOLED panel. So you've probably heard of dynamic refresh rates when we're talking about displays. Well, an LTPO display allows OxygenOS 11 to adjust refresh rate on the fly with more precise control. LTPO AMOLED screens can drop to multiple refresh rates as low as 1 Hz when viewing photos or still images, or even 24Hz, 30Hz, or even 60Hz. This should help conserve battery life, but that depends on just how the system implements the feature. Other than that, there are some other modest improvements to the 120Hz QHD Plus display, including the overall sharpness. That said, it's not a massive real terms jump. If you hate curved displays, then neither the OnePlus 8 Pro nor the OnePlus 9 Pro will be on the table for you. Daily performance should be marginally improved on the newer model, but it's unclear if you would be able to notice day to day. There's no denying that the OnePlus 8 Pro is still a very powerful smartphone with so much RAM overhead to keep things ticking over nicely for a long time to come. As with the smaller model, the outer chassis of the OnePlus 8 Pro and OnePlus 9 Pro share a strand of the same DNA, but with various nuances. The rear camera module is a prime hardware difference, gone is the centrally placed pill shape for an upper left domino style setup. With that in mind, you can still tell that the OnePlus 8 Pro and OnePlus 9 Pro are part of a shared lineage. We'll commend OnePlus for promising updates for devices, but in recent years the reliance on the OxygenOS open beta path is becoming quite frustrating. It's great if you're happy to run technically pre-release software, but it shouldn't be to the detriment of stable releases. That gripe aside, the OnePlus 8 Pro did launch with Android 10 pre-installed and is eligible for the stable Android 11 update already. This is more or less the exact same flavour that ships pre-installed upon the OnePlus 9 Pro. There is very little new to speak of should you upgrade the OnePlus 8 Pro to OxygenOS 11. The OnePlus 8 Pro is also going to be supported up to and including Android 13. Because the 9 Pro ships with Android 11 pre-installed, it is therefore in line to get Android 14 within its lifetime. If you care about updates beyond those phases, you can always look into installing a custom ROM. Now, the battery size is the only area in which the older model has the upper hand. Mind you, it's not by very much, as the OnePlus 8 Pro ships with a 4510 mAh battery versus a 4500 mAh battery in the OnePlus 9 Pro. In reality, the extra 10 mAh is mitigated with a more efficient 5nm Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset versus the X65 in the 8 Pro. That's not all though, as the OnePlus 9 Pro does include much faster charging options across the board. The already fast 30W warp charge is up to 65 watts here, which should take you from 0 to 100% in under 40 minutes. Plus there is the added bonus of a 50W warp wireless charger that's still taking the OnePlus 9 Pro from 0 to 100% in well under an hour. The camera is undoubtedly the weakest portion of the OnePlus 8 Pro, but they're not bad in all honesty, they just lack a little something to stand alongside the likes of the Samsung Galaxy and the iPhone. When the OnePlus 8 Pro did launch, it did provide a major step up over the OnePlus 7 series, but with the OnePlus 9 Pro and the burgeoning Hasselblad partnership, the 8 Pro's camera has already been surpassed. Although the hardware isn't quite as different as you might have expected, that is. The main camera sensor remains in the same 48 megapixel resolution, but the Sony IMX789 replaces the Sony IMX689 sensor, while the new Sony IMX766 50 megapixel wide sensor is the basis for the ultra-wide angle lens. We also say goodbye to the cool but kind of creepy colour filter sensor that can see through thin objects and say hello to a 2 megapixel monochrome sensor on the 9 Pro. A 3.3x telephoto zoom lens also joins the quad camera setup on the newer device for a fairly solid selection of focal lengths and options to choose from. Of course, because of this Hasselblad partnership, there are some unique options on the OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro series. Nightscape 2.0 returns, but the entire camera user interface has been altered. There's a dedicated Hasselblad Pro mode that includes vector scopes and extra fine-tuning controls that you won't find on any other OnePlus smartphone. There's even a software tilt-shift mode that mimics the miniature look associated with the offset camera lenses that are used to create the unique look. Colours have been tuned to effectively mimic the Hasselblad look too. The difference is more nuanced than it is at first glance, but the OnePlus 9 Pro camera is a substantial step up over the 8 Pro. So save the camera and charging speeds, we don't think there's enough to justify the jump from the OnePlus 8 Pro to the OnePlus 9 Pro. We've already spoken at length about the changes from the previous OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 9, which is one such upgrade path that we can kind of understand a little more readily. As we mentioned, the camera is a step up, and realistically that is the only major difference between the OnePlus 8 Pro and the OnePlus 9 Pro on a day-to-day basis. But you knew that already, and if you do have the OnePlus 7 Pro or an older device, then it's a far more palatable upgrade that's well worth taking a closer look at. That said, if you are a OnePlus 8 Pro owner and are going to upgrade, be sure to let me know your reasons why down in the comment section below, or if you're sticking, then similarly give me your reasons too. Be sure to check out our dedicated OnePlus 8 versus OnePlus 9 comparison on the channel too. But until next time, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.